Hello and welcome to an episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name's Jacob and today I've got an exciting video for you guys because in this little box we should have a brand new bootleg. So this is, completely unlicensed copy of the SH MonsterArts Kong 2021 figure. Now I actually have got the original figure here. I haven't actually got around to doing an unboxing or a review of this guy as of yet. Well, I actually filmed an unboxing, but I wasn't really happy with it, so I've decided to put that off, uploading that video and just doing a full review. So that actually hasn't come up yet. But in the meantime, this showed up on AliExpress, and I could not resist seeing what kind of quality of a figure we'd get, or if it would actually be the figure that we'd order at all, because sometimes these bootleg figures, you get surprises. So I've actually already started to open up the box. Now, I have not looked at the figure itself. I've actually decided to postpone looking at this figure until doing this video, but what I did see was I just opened up the box and I saw this little piece of paper, and then I was just like, okay, now I know what's in this box. Let's do the unboxing later on. So we're doing that now. So later on I'll actually be doing a full proper review of this guy as well. Well, depending on what we got in here at least. But for now we're just doing a quick little unboxing just to see what we actually get when we order one of these things off of AliExpress. So yeah, I ordered this without the packaging. You can actually order these things with the box. Now, this is the box to the original MonsterArts figure. I believe, from what I've seen of photos of other people and like the listing, that you get a pretty similar looking box with this bootleg, except for they've removed some of the names of things on it. So I think it doesn't actually say MonsterArts. It might say Legend Creation. I'm not sure, because that's the brand that a lot of these MonsterArts bootleg figures have been coming out as. Let's actually get to the figure itself now. So I'm just gonna, pull it out. Just tiny little box, because this is actually a pretty small figure, as you can see with the original here. Fairly stout little guy here. Of course, most of these MonsterArts figures are of Godzilla, and Godzilla has a massive tail, so you need massive big boxes, but this guy's pretty compact. Okay, already I am seeing a Kong-like silhouette in this bubble wrap, but I'm really excited to see what we actually get in the plastic of this thing, because some of these bootlegs have been pretty good, surprisingly. And ooh. Okay, this is promising. So we have a nice bag of accessories. So this Kong figure originally did come with a bunch of different accessories. So 2 different faces, a bunch of different hands, and his axe, featuring like a Godzilla spine from the movie Godzilla vs. Kong. Okay, we have one of his faces, and you know what? Doesn't look too bad. Again, I have not seen this figure out of the packaging yet, so I'm just curious what they pair like. The paint obviously is a little bit more sloppy on him, ever so slightly on the teeth, but I like the matte finish on this bootleg, because the original guy kind of has a slight gloss to his face, but this guy's actually slightly more matte. From what I'm seeing, the sculpt work is slightly softer, but almost indistinguishable. Interesting. I'll just give you guys a nice close look at this guy. So unfortunately I don't have the best lighting tonight, but again, in my full review I will show off this thing in much better detail, better lighting and picture and all that, so I apologize just for tonight. But that is the bootleg face, at least his roaring face, which is the one I prefer. And here's the original. Not that much of a difference, in all honesty. Again, the lighting here is really bad, so the picture's really bad, but yeah, not bad. So I'm just pulling out all the other little pieces that we get with this guy. So obviously one of the faces is already on the figure itself, so it's probably his more neutral face, but we do get all his little hands here. And honestly, they look pretty good, and so does his axe. Actually, looking really similar to the original one. I think there's just different levels of silver on each one, and actually the paintwork is a bit different on each of these. It's a little bit sloppier on the bootleg, but not by much, to be honest. So I'll just give you guys a little quick look at those. And little face here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 separate hands for this guy, and they all look pretty well done. Of course, the paintwork on them isn't amazing, but to be honest, it wasn't super amazing on the original figure. Very, very basic, with just much black with just a slight brown dry brush over the hair. Very dark brown too, so you can barely tell. But here's his axe, and it is sculpt-wise identical to the original axe from what I can tell, but the paintwork is just a little bit different on this guy. I think it's a little bit more darker on the original axe. You can see the original axe there, and this new one here. And actually in person, the paintwork doesn't look nearly as different, because it looks pretty bad on camera actually. Looks really sloppy and a little bit jarring, but in person both of these axes are actually fairly dark, so you don't really notice the sloppy paintwork nearly as much, although I would probably readjust that if you were really pedantic about this thing. Alright, and let's get to the actual figure itself. So it comes in this piece of bubble wrap, and it's just wrapped in plastic, so tear it open. Smells like a fresh MonsterArts figure, I'll tell you that much. It's got that plasticky smell that you kind of expect when you're opening up a brand new MonsterArts, which is actually kind of a pleasant smell, because it just reminds me of the good old times of getting MonsterArts figures. Speaking of which, this guy seems to be a complete figure. He's looking a little bit droopy, a little bit weirdly postured, but with some tweaking, yeah, not looking half bad. Alright guys, I'll give you a good look at this thing in a second. I'm just kind of wanting to get a good sense of what this guy feels like so I can know what to say about him. But so far, not half bad. Especially compared to something like the 2019 Godzilla figure that these Legend Creation bootleg guys came out with. This one is really close to the original. They didn't mess up the face or nothing. The sculpt seems fairly crisp. I think it's ever so slightly less crisp than the original. You can slightly tell, but it's actually a little bit more matte painted again compared to the original. Yeah, I actually kind of dare you guys, if I didn't have the faces on these guys, if they weren't different, if they were both the same face, and of course if this guy wasn't holding the axe, I kind of doubt you guys would be able to tell which is which is pretty impressive for these bootleg guys here. So this one's pretty good. This Kong has a lot of nice complex articulation. I have heard actually though that some of the hip articulation in that joint there can be a little iffy on some of the figures, so some people have had breakages there. This guy's actually got really smooth joints there, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Nothing seems overtly loose on him, except for maybe his wrist is a little bit floppy, but not by much. Interesting. There's that Kong here. He's got his kind of moody face, which is, you know, his neutral sort of moody face here. I've had mixed feelings on how they kind of represented this Kong in figure form. I think it's pretty near perfect, but there's just something a little bit off about the figure. And of course that doesn't take away from the bootleg. It's more the original figure that I'm kind of complaining about with that. But they actually recreated that really well on this bootleg. Around the back, nicely textured fur. You can see got a nice smooth, or fairly smooth articulation for his body. Moves about that much. Interesting. got good leg articulation, which I really like on this figure, and they actually feel fairly well made. Nothing's really striking me as overly bootleggy about this guy. Like maybe the plastic on him feels a little bit more rubbery than the original. Not by much, actually, in all honesty. Just because I'm curious what it'll look like. Let's swap out his face so you can just kind of pull it off like that. We'll see how the ball joint on these faces work, how well they work. So that should just pop in there. I think this was pretty easy on the official figure, so maybe this is where the bootleg will kind of fall short. It's kind of having trouble popping in there, but okay, but it got there. There we go. So far, I'm pleasantly surprised with this thing. I think maybe aside from some minor part warpage here and there and just some minor paint slop, this guy's actually done pretty well. Even down to the eyes on him, like both faces seem to actually have nice painted pupils. They're nice and straight facing and clearly done, and they're both about the same size on each face, which is good. I mean, his eyes are very, very dark on this figure anyway, so you can barely tell, but that's actually a really pleasant surprise. So yeah, I'm actually really digging this guy. So yeah, if you guys are after an affordable version of the MonsterArts Kong, or if you just want Kong to customize, or you know, a humanoid sort of ape-like figure for whatever purpose, this guy's not a bad figure. Sometimes you get pretty decent bootlegs, and so far this seems to be one of them. Again, I just unboxed him, so I might need some time to mess around with this guy. There might be some kind of obvious shortcomings that I'm kind of blind to at the moment, so I'll talk about that, or this guy in general, in a little bit more depth when I get around to doing a full review. I'm not sure when that'll be because my week looks pretty packed, but hopefully it'll be really soon, and hopefully I can get a review out of the official figure as well, which will be kind of important when comparing these two. But yeah, is the original figure and the bootleg. Just for a size comparison, of course they are pretty much identical in size. I don't think there's any issue size-wise between the two, which is a good sign. And let's bring in the Godzilla from the 2021 movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, by MonsterArts. So you can see, of course, since this figure is near identical to the official one, they scale up really nicely. And bring in the Mezco Kong of Skull Island. This guy's quite a chunky figure, so he's starting to get a bit tall compared to this guy. Again, this one has some really decent bootlegs of it as well on the market, so you can kind of get some pretty cool bootleg Kong figures as of late. So yeah, I recommend checking out some bootlegs of this one. This one's actually the original, but I do have bootlegs of them as well. And who else can we bring in? I recently did a video on these little Kong bootlegs from Godzilla vs. Kong, so I'm not even sure what you call these, but they're just these little smaller ones here. So that's how these two compare. Both are from AliExpress, so yeah, that's where I get most of my bootleg, non-legit third-party figures from. And here's the other one of those. This guy has the axe. Really creepy with the whited out eyes. Playmates Kong. There we go. Also got the axe. Can definitely see a bit of a size difference, but I would actually much rather have the bootleg MonsterArts. And finally, the NECA Kong, or King Kong figure, which is very reminiscent of the 1933 King Kong, except for some reason they gave him an incredibly long torso and legs, which makes him a bit weird looking. But there we go. This guy's much bigger than our little bootleg here. So that is it for my quick little unboxing of the bootleg MonsterArts Kong 2021 figure. I'm pleasantly surprised with this thing. Now, as far as quality control goes with these sort of bootlegs, it's never as tight as the official Tamashii stuff, so do buy with caution, but for the prices these things are going for, I would say it's definitely worth checking out if you're in the market for something like this. So yeah, pleasantly surprised over here, so that's pretty good. So hopefully I will be able to see you guys in my next video, which hopefully will be a full review of this guy. But until then, may all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Over and out. Bye.